Maybe. Hello, everyone. I am super excited to be here today. And joining me today is Heather Wild-Smith, who we are going to get to know much more intimately together. And today, if you saw the post and the title, we're going to be going into how to demystify the up-level process. And I'm going to let Heather talk a little bit about herself, but I do have some questions for her as well. But if you don't know Heather, she is a radical inner transformation and ethical sales coach, and she is intimately familiar with up-leveling with herself and with her clients. So I'm super excited to hear her take on it and to help you all, learn some tips about what to do if you're in that place or you want to be in that place. So first, Heather, you can, as part of your intro, I also am super curious, how do you define up level? Because I know this word is thrown around a lot and sometimes we don't even know what it means. So how would you define it, just to kind of help people kind of come on board to our conversation? And if you're there, please say hello. And of course, we'll answer questions as we go. So let us know.
Perfect. Hi, Corey. Thanks for having me. I'm not in my car this time.
I know, I love it. If it is a car, it's a very interesting car.
It's a TARDIS. Okay, so up level. So do you want to intro me first? Do you want me
to do your intro? I think your intro will go right into the up level.
Okay, so I am a transformational business coach. So what I love doing, my favorite my clients, is that they come to me for business help and we end up leveling their whole lives. So you could also describe it as kind of holistic business coaching, that my focus is on helping you to have success in your business, but also have that fit in with your life so that your focus isn't entirely on your business and your personal life goes to shit.
Yes.
And can I curse?
Oh, totally. Yes.
Okay. Because the language is only going to go down here from here.
Oh yeah, so true.
So up level, yeah, you're right. It does get thrown around a lot, and I define it as two different things. So I talk about up level challenges, which are kind of like individual events or things that come up that you have to kind of go through to get to this next level of you. And then there's up level trials, which is the shit hits the fan kind of from all directions. Mine tend to come in threes. For instance, like I'll have 3 different areas of my life just explode all at once. And I'm like, what? And so up leveling is really like, from like a woo-woo perspective, up leveling is like you're at a certain frequency and you're at a certain kind of plane of existence, and you're up leveling, so your frequency is getting higher, your intentions are getting more concentrated, and you move up frequencies, right?
Got it.
On a more like material plane level, it could be you breaking through to a new income level. It could be you just self-mastery, coming to a place of more peace, healing, anything. It's basically you're making progress, you're up leveling, like you're at a level and you want to go up like from that. So what I found interesting, and I started geeking out about last year because I got my ass handed to me twice by up-level trials. Actually, the last one, I started calling it an upheaval trial because it was ridiculous. Was that there's certain stages that I've noticed, like in myself and other people. And I found that once I kind of documented those and I could kind of see where I was in the process, it helped me to move through it more quickly and a little easier with a little more grace. Yeah. So what's essentially happening is, especially for entrepreneurs, but it could really be for anyone. When we're chasing after a big goal, that's where you're going to get your most growth. I love personal growth, and I spent a lot of years just doing personal growth for personal growth's sake.
Right.
And it's not, and I'm interested to hear if you're if you had the same experience or anybody in the audience, I did a lot of personal growth for personal growth's sake. And it's not that I didn't get some growth, because I did, but the 2 times in my life that I got the most growth, I was chasing after a seemingly impossible or just really difficult goal. And going after that goal pulled me along. And so I was doing personal growth stuff, but I was also going after this goal, and it pulled me along quicker. I got much more profound growth in a shorter period of time.
Right. Absolutely. Did you find, I'll share a little bit about too, that big goal was really connected to like a deeper desire, or was it more like an ego thing? I'm just curious, because some people are very driven by ego, and that's great, and they can perform after that. But for you or for your clients, do you feel like it has to come from a deeper, like gut level desire, like something's wanting to come through you, sort of?
So, I mean, I think that this can happen to athletes, if they're, trying to be in the Olympics or they're running a marathon, because anything that you're doing that is something big, it's so far beyond anything that you've done before.
Right.
You have to battle the beliefs. You're going to have to keep going even when you doesn't look like you're making progress. You're going to have it's a challenge, right? And so, if you're just like, oh, well, I've been running 3 miles for a year, and in the next month I'm going to get up to 4 miles. You might have some limiting beliefs come up, and some, just internal garbage, it might uncover, a wound. Well, my mom never believed in me, and so I probably can't do this now. I mean, that's kind of justification, but it would bring up, right, some stuff, right? If you've been running, 3 miles for a year, and suddenly you decide, it's January 1st, and you decide that in November you're running a marathon. It's a whole big thing. And, even though and there could be a lot of reasons for doing that. Maybe it is for your health. Maybe it's to give yourself a goal to aim for to help you lose weight. Maybe it's just to prove something to yourself, but regardless, there's that big gap from 3 miles to 26 miles. I'm not a marathon person, but it's gonna pull you along, right? You're gonna have days where you're not gonna want to do it. You're gonna have days where you're filled with self-doubt. You're gonna have relationships that are going to change, because there's going to be people that are going to tell you that you can't do it, but then you're going to find your supporters and find people who are like, no, you can totally do this. So just running more could end up changing your whole life. It's this big goal. So I really enjoy working with entrepreneurs because it is such a big goal. I've been I went on a rant earlier today where I talked about how basically, like, a lot of people will overemphasize mindset. Mindset is extraordinarily important, but a lot of people, like, if a strategy doesn't work, they're automatically like, oh, it was my mindset. If you're implementing the strategy and you're doing it consistently and you're sticking in there, long enough for it to work, like 60 to 90 days, that's not a mindset issue. There's something either not aligned with that strategy, or you are, or there's something you're not implementing correctly, right? So that's where I get kind of irritated when we like blow everything off to mindset. But mindset is a thing, if you're not getting in the morning to go running, or you're not doing your post, or you're not, going after it with everything you have, then that is a mindset issue, and that, or maybe a healing issue, or maybe a trauma issue, that stuff. But strategy, strategy is important. But I like working with people who understand that the people that we are that can dream these dreams is not the person who can live that dream.
Right.
And it's in going after the dream that life carves us into and toughens us up to be the person who's able to actually live that dream, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's really what uplevel trials are about. I see it as a couple of things. So does everything make sense so far?
Yes. Yeah. So it can be, well, I mean, I feel like even with athletes, it's it's still coming from something. I mean, in order to overcome, like you said, trials and, you know, the shit hitting the fan, it has to be more than just something external. It has to be like, I am meant to do this. I'm in the gold, and I will get up at 5 a.m. and run in the rain and the snow. That's different than, oh, it would be nice to get a gold medal, right? Like the dreamer versus the doer. The dreamer might have the dream, but the doer is like, and I will do whatever it takes to get that. So I think that comes from a deeper level within.
It does. And that's what I call like the warrior mindset is I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this happen. And just a little clue for anyone who's if you've got new people in your audience who are struggling with like, what is it, you know, what is my ICA? One of the most important things for your ICA, I don't care what your niche is that they be someone who is ready to do whatever it takes.
Yes.
That they have that spirit, right?
Absolutely.
But you know, when we're in that warrior mindset, that, and I don't mean like warrior, like fighting everything. I'm just, you know, like dedicated, committed, you know, even when we're in that mindset, when we hit the up level trials and the up level challenges, it can be very easy to get discouraged and get disheartened. Right. And what happens is you're chasing after a big goal. So in the case of my clients, they're chasing after their dream of either creating their business or up leveling their business, scaling it, making more money, making it easier, kind of things. And to do this takes an enormous amount of energy and focus and time, right? And especially in the first couple of years. After that, then you can start to kind of back away and find other ways of dealing with things. But in the first couple of years, like it really needs to be like your primary focus, you know? Yeah. And you're putting all this energy and focus on this one part of your life. And then you hire coaches who are also helping, and they're also focusing their energy. So it makes sense that this one area of your life is going to up level a lot quicker, right? So suddenly, you know, maybe your business and your life were kind of even, right? And then suddenly you spend months putting all this time and energy and focus and having other people put their time and energy focus into your business, and it starts to rise, right?
Yeah, right.
The problem is the rest of your life is still down here, right? And when you start getting close to the next threshold, right, your business can't go up without the rest of your life.
Right.
They've got to be on an even keel, right?
Yeah.
So the up level challenge, up level trials are going to be showing you where these other areas of your life are out of balance. And that's why, like, I can help people get through an up level challenge. I have an intensive that I help people do that.
Nice.
But it's, and they're going to happen no matter what. There's no way to just like get around them. But what my focus is with my clients is helping them up level their business and also up leveling their lives at the same time, so that when they get to that up level challenge, it's not the business is here and their personal life is a wreck.
Right.
It's like the business is here and maybe things in their personal life are right here. So it's not going to be nearly, you know, as much drama and chaos, you know? So the thing is, like, when you're getting close to one of these thresholds that you need to go through and these challenges start happening, if you, and if you're going after a big goal, like by the time you start getting to this threshold, you're kind of exhausted.
Right.
So this is another thing I work with my clients on. I'm like, okay, how's your sleep? You know, like 2 of my clients have had sleep studies since they started working with me, because I think you could have some apnea going on, you know, go check this, you know.
Right.
So, you want to be aware of your energy, because by the time you get to that threshold, you're going to be tired. And all these challenges come up, and it's usually like in December. It was so lovely. I had breast cancer a couple years ago. I'm fine now, but I had a big lump come up in my native breast, and I was like, what? And then I had family drama that escalated to the point that lawyers had to be involved.
Gosh.
And then someone that I had been in love with for over 20 years, but had left behind because they were not a healthy individual, popped up after 5 years, just came out of the blue. And
Oh
all
my
three
gosh.
things happened within 2 weeks of each other.
Wow.
And I was like,
Oh gosh.
what the fuck? So you're gonna be tired, right? And then you get all this crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy to see this as like, oh, maybe this is a sign that I don't need to be working on my business. Maybe this is a sign I'm completely on the right track. Or, you know what, I can't deal with all this stuff. So I'm just going to put my business aside for a minute and go deal with these things.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens, unfortunately, is, let's say the threshold's here and your business is here, or maybe it's like more like here, your personal life's here. What happens when we take a break from what we're doing? When we come back, we don't come back here.
Yeah, so true.
Here.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I'll ask my clients, when I can see that they're going through this up-level trial, I'm like, is this business your sole purpose?
Right. Great question.
Yeah, because if it is, you're not going to stop. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to keep going through this.
Yes.
Every time that you get so close and then you take that break and you go back, now you've got to work your way all the way back up to this, and you're still going to have to live with that up-level challenge. You're still going to have to hit that trial.
Totally.
And every time you don't make it through that threshold, it's more and more demoralizing. It's more and more exhausting.
Yeah.
And so you really want to get through it the first time.
It makes me think of working out, right? When you first start working out, it takes forever to get in shape. And then once you're in shape, it's easy to stay in shape.
Yep.
But if you take, 2 days off, it's like losing 2 weeks of training versus staying on. Like you can work out harder with less effort. It's the same thing in business, right? You can work harder with less effort. But when you take a break, it's going to take much more time even to get back to where you left it, not even superseding it, right? Not even going higher.
Yeah, and it's especially crucial, in the first and second year of business, because you're building momentum. And it's especially frustrating in the first and second and even third year of business, because it can feel like you're not getting the traction. You can feel like, well, I'm not really getting a lot of engagement, especially in the very, very beginning.
Right.
And you just have to trust and believe that people are seeing your stuff. They're just not always engaging on it.
Mm-hmm.
And keep going. And I did this for a number of times. Like it was 9 years as a coach that I was marketing my business before I started consistently signing clients.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it was because I would get so frustrated and so demoralized, and I would quit. And I would say, well, no, I wouldn't quit. I would say, I'm going to take a break.
Yeah.
Break. I talk about this, like, there's self-care, and then there's self-care masquerading as, there's self-sabotage masquerading as self-care.
Right. Right.
And I would do that a lot, where I'm just like, I'm just going to take a week off. And a week would turn into 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would get up in my head, oh my God, I haven't posted in 2 weeks and
Right.
3 months. And you lose all this momentum,
Totally.
And the online space, there's a lot of great people out here, and there's a lot of really flaky people.
Right.
And one of the ways you can, people start to trust you is just that you're showing up consistently.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a 3-month break, and people are thinking about partnering with you, whether it's just to do like the cross promotional interviews that you and I have shared,
Right.
or, to do like a joint venture project, they're going to go look. And if you've only been posting for 2 weeks, and the last time you posted was in 2018,
Right.
or at the beginning of 2021, they're not going to be as likely to they're not going to feel good, about that partnership.
So true.
So you want to take care of yourself, and you want to monitor your energy and be doing things, be paying attention to your life. I've been really on the case of one of my clients in particular about the sleep thing. And I finally realized, I'm like, I've got that same thing going on. It's for a different reason. My hormones are out of whack, you know? And I finally was like, okay, I need to go invest in this. And I am, and I'm sleeping better now. And my focus is getting better. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, I think it's interesting because I don't think I think sometimes, like you said, they kind of misdiagnose what's happening, right? So they think, like you said, they think, oh, well, it's not working. No one's engaging. I'm tired. Well, it must mean I'm not supposed to do this, instead of, oh, I might be just on the brink of a breakthrough here.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Or, with me, so I love my coaches. Love my coaches. Love all the coaches that I've ever had. They've been fabulous. And it can be difficult to learn from people who have either been doing something for so long that they've forgotten the difficulty at the beginning, or they do something and it becomes so naturally to them that they, so for instance, so my coaches would say, Heather, you just need to post, and then you need to go be friendly in the DMs, and, you'll get clients. And I was like, okay. And I went and that didn't happen,
Right.
And what I find, like, in the last couple of months, when I sat back and looked, and I'm talking about this a lot in my business right now, is the second year of business. You don't need to go hire a team, get a big funnel, start doing ads, all this stuff. Like, what you need to do is sit back and reassess and refine and restructure what's been working for you and restore yourself. And then so you can move on. And so for me, this is my second year of consistently working with clients. And I'm like, I'm great at sales. I'm great at coaching my clients, and I'm great at helping them, up level their lives and their business.
Right.
And what I suck at is lead generation. And so I had to sit back and I'm like, okay, well, where's the problem? And I'm like, I don't know how to use the DMs in a way that produces leads. And so now that's my focus. That's what I've reassessed, and now I'm refining for myself as the skill.
Right.
It may be that they're making sales, but their sales conversion rate is only like 20%. So you're wasting a lot of time on calls that go nowhere, And in this case, you need to figure out the sales thing. So how did I get off on that tangent?
Well, it's like misdiagnosing, right? Instead of saying like, oh, I should just quit my business, you're like, no, I just need to get better at lead generation. Like, it's a completely different conversation, because then you're still in and you're still committed to growth and refinement. You're not like, I'm out.
Yeah. And then the first year, you're learning so many things and trying to implement them all at once. It's really hard to see what's working and what's not working.
Yeah.
But in the second year, you can step back and be like, okay, I signed clients. Did I like my clients? Are they really, maybe I need to refine and refine my idea of my ideal client,
Right.
There's all kinds of things. And you want to work with coaches. Don't work with coaches that are stuck on one system and one strategy.
Right. Totally.
Because the problem I've had with that in the past is not all strategies work for everybody, for one thing. And the other thing I've run into is people that they are so stuck on their strategy being perfect that they're not willing to even entertain the thought that maybe it needs to be tweaked in some situations.
Right.
And instead of admitting that maybe the strategy needs to be tweaked, or maybe the strategy just sucks, or maybe they suck at teaching their strategy.
Right.
It's something they learned from somebody else and they're turning around and teaching it, but they don't fully understand the nuances of it. That's when a lot of coaches will do this mindset shaming thing. It's not the system, it's your mindset.
Right. Totally.
And that's really gross. Like I said, and that's the thing I really want people to understand. If you're implementing something and you're doing it consistently and it's not working, that's not a mindset issue. That's either it's not aligned or you're not doing it right, and nobody comes out of the gate doing stuff perfectly. We need, what it's taken for me with my DMs is to actually have my coach to screen share and to go through, and look at my DMs. And when she did that, she was like, oh, no, don't do that. And I was like, okay, thank you. But I thought I was doing what you told me to do.
Exactly. I was following your guidance.
Right. This is when you said that, this is the result. And she's like, no.
Right.
And so, you need people that are willing, to do that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the up level thing is, there's 4 stages of it that I've noticed for myself and my clients, and I'm still geeking out about this, so you may find, some subtleties. But um, what it's looking like from my research so far is that you hit a period of like stagnation.
Mm-hmm.
So in your business, either you're not making money like you were making money and then suddenly you stop,
Right.
or slows down,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like the calm before the storm, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And then, and this is usually like you're working towards some bigger goal, So for me last December, I was trying to have a 10K month in December. And so, I started in like October, working, but it was just like doldrums. It was just like, kind of nothing happening. It was really frustrating, but I was like, I'm going to go in November. I decided I was going to go live for 30 days. And so I start going live for 30 days. And then, like I said, I get this giant health scare.
Oh my gosh.
Freaking nuts. And this guy who, I love to pieces, but I just know he's a nightmare, like bless his heart. And it all happens at once. And I had to decide, really get into that warrior spirit, that I don't care what is going on around me. I'm going to continue to go live for 30 days. I'm going to continue to show my business no matter what,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so that's like it's the toughest part in a way, because the trick is you've got to figure out how to keep your eye on the prize and keep moving forward in your business, and at the same time deal with what's going on around you.
Right.
Let it derail you.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially get all these different areas of your life to a better frequency so that you can, ascend. And then the next part, I feel like I had identified 4 stages and I'm blanking on the third one right now. But the last part is kind of the most frustrating, because you get through everything that needs to be done. I'd gone to the doctor's appointments. I had ignored the man. I had, gone to the lawyer and gotten everything straightened out with all the family mess, had all these conversations. And then, that was about mid-December. And I was just like, okay, but it still felt like there wasn't a lot happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I had done everything that needed to be done. And so it's this part it's like the waiting room.
Yeah.
Before your ascension.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a test to see you've gotten to this new level. And going through all this, not only did I fix some areas in my life that were off, I also gained a new respect for myself. I was like, I did not know what a badass I was until I walked through all that, and I didn't lose my mind. I didn't quit on my I didn't go crawl in a corner with a blanket over my head and suck my thumb, although I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the process, is like really just bringing out this level of commitment, determination, and badassery that you didn't even know that you had, but then you kind of just get to sit in it. And I feel like it's a test to say, like, are you really ready for this? Is this really what you want? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like that thing in The Secret where they talk about how the incubation period is in our favor, because you don't want to have a stray thought, oh, I think an elephant would be a cool pet, and have one just drop through your ceiling.
Right. Totally.
So it's this, but it's you're back to the doldrums again. It's like, okay. And it's uncomfortable too, because now you're at like the highest frequency possible in this kind of range of frequencies, this kind of that you've been living in.
Right.
You're vibrating like at the very top of it, and maybe like just slightly above it. And so everything around you kind of feels uncomfortable. Like you don't belong there. Right.
Right.
For me, the temptation is like, don't go eat a bunch of chocolate cake to deal with that. Don't go do low vibration things.
Yeah, so true.
Maintain your vibration, and then you get to go through. And I found that pattern repeating for myself and repeating, as I've watched my clients, and they're like, yeah, I think I'm up leveling. And I'm like, yep, I think you are too. Okay. What stage are you at? What do we need to do right now? But understanding that and understanding like, okay, this is the stage I'm in and this is what my focus needs to be right now. That has really helped me to go through them a little more easily and quickly instead of getting into that like, oh shit, maybe I'm on the wrong path, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing, maybe I need to give up. Like, no, this is actually a good sign. As uncomfortable as it is, it's actually a good sign. And then knowing, not to like derail everything at the end, I think is super important too.
So important. So how would, when you work with this, like how do you guide your clients? So they got to this level, they made it through, right? The hero's journey. How do they stay on? Because of course they're going to continue. Like there's no end, right? Unless we're dead, we're going to continue to want to reach higher levels and different level, in different areas of our life at the same time. But how do we maintain that continual up leveling? I mean, basically, I feel like for the rest of our lives.
So what I found is that the more you do this, the faster the up level trials come and the more intense they get. So the one in December for me was like, but I got through it and I was like, okay. And then in April, I found myself going through another one. And this one was, the guy came back and he had a different response. And I was like, okay, maybe I want to investigate this. And so I did, knowing that it would probably blow up in my face. And it did. And then I had like, some problems with a couple of my clients, where I had to like really set strong boundaries and had, some just different business challenges come up. And through the crazy relationship, I was shown, because I was like, I feel what the next level of me is. And I know who she is. I know how she thinks. I know how she speaks. I know all this stuff, but I can't just step into her, This person, this relationship showed me like everything that I didn't like about him was also, it was a reflection of me basically. And I got this long list of all these things I needed to do to up level. And I was like, well, fuck.
Now I know. Now I have to do something.
Well, like I was like, okay, thank you for this list. Can I get an easier list? And the universe was like, no. And and then like this is where it became the upheaval trial, because I was like, what do I need to do to make this happen? Like, what needs to happen? And the universe's answer was, you have to let the you that you are now die in order for this new, really big up level of you to be born. And I was like, oh, well, great. I mean, as long as it's just simple as me like killing my ego, like now how the hell do I do that?
Right. So true.
That point, I was like, okay, this is not an up level trial. This is a freaking upheaval trial. It wasn't just like all these things in my life. It was like a total rewrite of me. And I was like, okay. And I'm still going through, like, this one is dragging out. I'm like, okay.
Well, it's like you said, it's like, when we start to see, like, it's shaping you into the woman you are meant to be, into the coach you're meant to be, and, the daughter you're meant to be, like all the things. We wouldn't want it to be immediate, because then we would miss like how we need to be shaped in order to hold a higher level of expression and influence and power. And
sort of, I really want this one to be over, and I tried to rush it. And I've been meaning to write a post about this and to just say like the headline's going to be like, I was wrong. Because I have a transformation ritual that I did like in 2015, and it didn't produce immediate results, but it definitely set me on the track to become the person I've become. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm killing my ego off and becoming this, I'm like, maybe I need to do a new one. And I was like, maybe if I do this transformation ritual,
right,
it will hurry this the fuck up. Like maybe. And so I threw myself into doing like all this extra shadow work, anger work, and all this stuff, and like went and got a cabin and it didn't work. I was trying to outsmart the process, and no. I mean, it had an effect, but it didn't just like, I didn't just like come back from the mountains and was like,
Right.
oh, I am the new Heather. Like,
Totally.
damn it.
If only it were that easy, but then it wouldn't be as worth it, I think. I mean, yeah.
I mean, it is, and I mean, I see the value in it, but it's painful. Like, it's like
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of pain, and I'm like still showing up for my business and everything. But I mean, these have not been they've been great in some ways, and they've been really painful, like 6, 7 months, and I'm like, I'm tired.
Totally. But I think it's so important for people, our listeners to hear that, because I think sometimes there's this idea that they're not as difficult and you can navigate them quite easily. And then you can get to I mean, there's just not a real life, like this is what it looks like. Like it might take longer. You might have some family, explosions. You might have relationship challenges. You might have, just all these things start happening. And instead of what they normally, maybe not normally, but I think what is seen is that, oh, I just decided and next time, and all of a sudden things happened and you're like, what? How do you do that? I decided too, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, that's been a huge thing along my especially, I was about to say my growth journey in general, but especially the entrepreneur journey, where people are like, you just decide. And I'm like, that's another thing that I'm like, there are multiple steps to that maybe are very intuitive and they make perfect sense to you, because there's things like I can't take a client who can't write, because writing is something that is just so innate. It's something I've always enjoyed. It's something I'm good at. So for me to try to teach someone would be very, very difficult, right? But so many things about business, I have struggled tooth and nail for every bit of progress that I've got. So I'm really good at breaking it down. And I'm never going to look at somebody and be like, why don't you understand that? It must be your mindset. I'm going to be like, okay, I had the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? Okay, I see what the problem,
Right.
So I've realized that as much as it sucked having to struggle so hard to get all this progress, because this business did not come naturally to me. Other businesses have like come very natural. This would not so much. But the benefit of that's my superpower, is that I'm very, very, very patient and very good at breaking things down, because that's what I had to do,
Totally. Yeah. Well, we're already over a little bit, so I just want to ask really quick. I mean, we've kind of answered all my questions, actually, but one question I'm curious we could explore is, and to kind of tie it all together, is it possible, or what would it look like I think it's possible, actually, I'll rephrase that. It is possible, but what would it look like to, navigate these up levels with more grace, so it's not like this like terrifying, because it's going to be painful, of course, but how can we enter into it with maybe more appreciation or more curiosity, more, what do I need to learn now? Like, what would that look like? And what has it looked like if you've had, moments of that coming through?
So after I was pretty aware of what was happening, like in the November December thing, and just being aware of like, this is what's happening, and it's really happening for me. It's not happening against you. It's not happening like to you. It really is to carve you into the person who can be at this next level, because so when you get to that next level, it's awesome, but that next level is more intense. And the thing is, if you can't maintain your frequency, then you're going to get booted back down, which is going to be really demoralizing. And so the trials are really to like get you to that higher frequency and to show that you can maintain it, so that you can get into this more intense level and still be okay.
Right.
Not crumble from it. So if you can keep in mind that, it becomes a little easier to bear. And then, like I said, recognizing the stages that mine go through, and being able to recognize that in my clients too, and help them to understand, hey, this is this is what you're going through, and it's okay. Just remember, here's your priorities right now, and having somebody, having mentorship, having allies, really good allies that you can talk to and that you can lean on. And yeah, I haven't figured out how to really speed it up yet, but I'm working on it.
Well, like you mentioned, having the right support and, how being careful who you have around when you're going through it. So really being cautious and mindful of who's in your space when you're going through it. So you can have people that are like, great, what's happening now? Instead of like, oh shit, you should just quit. You suck.
Well, and that honestly, if you've got those type of people, that it may be actually part of your up level
Yeah,
track,
totally.
because unfortunately I've wasted a lot of energy thinking that everyone in the world wants to up level, and they don't.
So true. So true.
And it's mind blowing to me, but there's most of the people on this planet don't want to grow. They're fine. Even if they're bitching about their lives, they really aren't, they don't want to change it. They're happy being miserable.
Yeah.
Blows my mind. But I wasted a lot of time, especially in my late 20s and early 30s, trying to pull people up with me that didn't want to come up. And what I finally realized is that it takes a lot of energy to climb yourself to the next level. And I don't mean like climbing the corporate ladder. I don't mean climbing over people. I don't mean it in a toxic way. It's just like competing against anybody, like you're competing against yourself, but not really competing. You're just refining yourself and finding. For me, I always think of it like I want to be the happiest, most joyful, most productive, most giving person that I can be. And this is, and this is how I do that. But it takes a lot of energy, and you can't do it for somebody else. And if you're wasting energy trying to pull them up, you're not going to get anywhere. They're not going to get anywhere. Even if you did manage to drag them up a level, they'd be pissed about it.
Yeah, totally.
So that's a huge thing, but it's scary, because these are your friends, these are the people you're comfortable with, and you don't want to move on without them.
Right.
But when you start becoming more successful, some people will celebrate it with you, and other people are going to be jealous. Other people are going to say, oh, now you're snobby.
Right.
Now that you're making more money, now that you do this, that, and the other thing, we just can't relate to you anymore. And it's not you, it's them.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's scary. But yeah, I did a video where I talked about, part of up leveling, whether it's during, a crisis, a trial, or if it's just like an individual challenge. That part of up leveling is learning how to walk away from people who don't want to go with you.
Yeah, totally. So true. Well, so obviously we want people to find you. I know you're on Facebook and all the things, and you have an amazing, where you're talking about like a 1 month intensive that you're talking about, like kind of guiding people through this. And
yeah, so I haven't talked about it a lot, but I have. It's a 4-hour intensive, and what it looks like is gathering a whole bunch of information to help me and you get really clear about where you are in the challenge, in the crisis. And then we meet for, hour and a half, 2 hours, and we talk about like, what's the strategy? How do we keep you moving forward in your business, and give each of these things enough energy and focus to handle them without letting derail things, right? So you really have my support in like getting in there and coming up with a game plan. And then you have Voxer access. And then after, a couple of weeks or so, we'll check back in to see if the strategy needs to be refined a little bit. Of course, we can check in by Voxer about that too. But also to like, okay, now what did we learn from this, to kind of digest what happened, right? So it's an intensive, it's like a 4-hour intensive broken up into 2 parts with Voxer access in between. And then I have a masterclass that's coming up in a couple of weeks, and it is going to be called, I think I'm going to be calling it, oh God, I came up with it earlier, Curing the Second Year Business Blues.
Nice.
And it's all about like, so many people, I know I thought this, I very much thought this, and I think most people think this is the idea that once you get clients, once you start working with clients, suddenly everything's going to be fine.
Right.
Be okay, that it's going to get easy. Right. And what I found is that it actually gets a little bit harder.
Totally.
And I don't see anybody talking to second year entrepreneurs. I see people talking to brand new people. And then I see people talking to the people that are ready to have big teams and funnels and all these things. And those things are great. But if you try to do that, like just in your second year of business, most of people, it's going to overwhelm you. It's going to be a mess. And so I talk about how to organically scale in your second year. And the process is reassess, refine, restructure, and restore. And that's restoring yourself.
Right.
And it's also helping you to up-level yourself and your business in a way that's sustainable.
Love it.
So that masterclass will be in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram. The best way to reach me is in the DMs of Facebook. But I'm starting to get more DMs. And so you may have to DM me a couple of times to get my attention, honestly. But yeah. So I'm really excited about my masterclass and kind of doing this next, phase of my business, from just focusing on ethical sales to being more of a holistic, business coach.
Perfect. Yay. Well, if anyone watching, if you're just joining us, you'll have to watch again. That was so good. But leave comments and let us know what your questions are, and we'll definitely come back and check it out and answer your questions. And reach out to Heather. You can see her name, so you can find her pretty easily anywhere and everywhere. And thank you so much, Heather, for being here and sharing all your amazing insights about up-leveling. And we will see you all soon.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Corey.
All right. Bye.